I was walking onto the stage for my graduation. My name flashed across the big screen. The hall was alive with applause. Cameras flashing and whispers filling the air. In that moment, it felt like my entire life had come to a single point. For years of hard work, sleepless nights, tears, fear, and hope, all of it was coming down to this one step. I adjusted my gown, took a deep breath, and looked at my mom, Bianca Caldwell, sitting in the front row. She was calm, poised, with pride in her eyes and a faint, controlled smile on her lips. Then I saw my dad, Gregory, leaning close to her. He was smiling in that confident, self-assured way, as if this day belonged only to him. He whispered something in her ear, and I caught the flash in my mom's eyes, the faintest break in her otherwise steady expression. Just for a second, her smile cracked. That 1 second was enough to make my heart stop. I didn't understand it fully at the time, but I could feel that something had shifted, something irreparable. Later, I learned that right there, in front of everyone, my dad had told her he was leaving her. He said he was in love with someone else, a much younger woman. I stood on the stage accepting my diploma. The applause ringing in my ears. Cameras flashing, and yet inside, I felt shattered. I wanted time to freeze. I wanted my mom to stand up, scream, let everyone know the truth, but she stayed silent. After graduation, we took pictures. My dad smiled like he had won some great victory. There was freedom in his laugh, but also a cruelty I couldn't ignore. My mom smiled too, but I knew it wasn't real. That smile was a shield, a wall she had put up for the world. I held her hand, and it was cold, controlled, distant. That night, the house was strangely quiet. No arguments, no questions. I found my mom sitting alone in her room. The light was dim, and she was focused on her phone checking bank statements, old emails, and transactions. She wasn't crying, and her breath was steady. Her face wasn't sad. It was calm, calculating. It was as if she had already pieced together the puzzle. Then I understood. This shock wasn't sudden. My mom already knew everything: the affair, the lies, the hidden money. She didn't break that day because she had already prepared. She was silent, not out of weakness, but because she was calculating. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't an emotional battle. This was a strategic one. This wasn't a fight of feelings. It was a plan. And my mom, she never lost with numbers on her side. The days after graduation were strangely quiet. The house felt the same, but the air had a cold, tense edge. My dad moved around like he owned everything. Like his announcement had secured him some victory. He was on long calls, smiling, glancing at my mom as if waiting for her reaction. But he had no idea the real game had already begun. My mom, though, seemed unchanged on the surface. She woke up on time, made her coffee, went to work, and came back home like everything was normal. Lisa and Marty. Every word, every gesture, she was storing, analyzing. I realized then that she wasn't acting out of emotion. She was acting with calculation. She didn't scream because screaming doesn't win wars. She was preparing her moves in silence. Then one morning, as my dad stood in front of the mirror, straightening his tie and looking like the king of the world, there was a knock at the door. I saw his face change the moment a man handed him the divorce papers. My mom stood there, calm, silent, but her eyes held a quiet determination. She simply said, "Remember the prenup? The fidelity clause?" My dad's hand shook as he took the papers. For the first time, I saw fear in him, the realization that this wasn't a threat. This was strategy. Everything changed that day. Our joint bank accounts were frozen. Credit cards stopped working. The house was legally secured under my mom's control. My dad had never seen it coming, but my mom had planned it all. I watched my dad calculate his next move. And it was clear the numbers were not in his favor. Pride was gone, replaced by panic. My mom didn't hide the truth from me. One evening, she told me everything: the affair, the lies, the money my dad had been secretly moving. I was hurt, but she wasn't broken. She held my hand firmly and said, "We will stand with the truth." That day, she even told my Aunt Diana. Diana listened quietly, then took a deep breath and said, "This time, I'm on your side." That moment made me realize this battle wasn't just my mom against my dad. The very choices he had made had turned him into his own opponent. My mom didn't need to accuse anyone or dramatize the story. She simply presented the truth. And truth, when timed correctly, is the most powerful weapon. I watched my mom that day in a new light. She was wounded, yes, but not broken. Slowly, she was reclaiming her strength with every careful move. This revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't in anger. It was precise, deliberate. And I knew. This war was far from over. With time, everything started to fall into place. The man who once thought he ruled everything, my dad, was now stumbling at every turn. His long, confident phone calls became short and frantic. His voice, once commanding, now carried only panic and hesitation. He asked questions he had never asked before, but my mom didn't rush to answer. She knew that silence, sometimes, is the loudest reply. My mom didn't hide the final truth either. She called my dad's girlfriend, Cassandra, into the house. No yelling, no accusations, just facts, files, numbers, and reality. Empty accounts, a failing business, and the future he had promised but never truly controlled. I watched Cassandra's face as her love turned to fear. She didn't say a word, didn't try to argue, she simply walked out. That's when I realized some relationships aren't built on love. They're built on convenience. And when the convenience ends, so does everything else. The day of the court ruling was quiet but heavy. My mom sat straight, her hands calm, like she already knew the outcome. My dad fidgeted in his chair, his pride gone, left only with the weight of his own choices. When the judge announced the decision, there was no celebration, no cheering, just a deep exhale. My mom gained control of most of the assets, the house, and the finances. My dad was left with silence, his empire of pride reduced to dust. After that day, my mom transformed, but not like someone broken and trying to heal. She rebuilt herself piece by piece. She wore the clothes she actually liked. She made decisions for herself, not anyone else. She started her own financial consultancy for women we men like, who had spent years quietly holding everything together. For the first time, I saw her standing fully on her own. She wasn't just my mom, and she wasn't just anyone's wife, she was herself. Strong, independent, and unstoppable. My dad's business floundered. His calls stopped coming. Friends disappeared. The grand gestures he had made during graduation were nothing but memories. And memories didn't help him. One day, He admitted it. I thought I had won. I didn't respond. Some victories aren't loud. Some defeats are written. In the quiet collapse of everything you thought you controlled. Now, when I look back at that graduation day, I realize it wasn't really about me walking onto a stage. That day marked the turning point in my mom's life. She taught me that revenge isn't about screaming, it's about reclaiming yourself. And when a woman takes back her identity, the world has no choice but to watch quietly.